Hello and welcome to episode 67 of my Working with Todoist series. In this episode, I want to answer a viewer's question about whether you can set up filters to do a weekly review. So what I've done here is I've just created a weekly review filter as I would see it. Now, there is a problem with weekly review because basically what you need to be able to do in a weekly review is review all your tasks and all your projects. Now, my personal preference for reviewing is to go through my projects individually. Now, as I mentioned in I can't remember, it was episode 4 or 5 in this series, I suggested that if you create the routines folder as I have done, these are the tasks that are not going to change on a week-to-week basis. So you wouldn't actually need to review that every single week. Personally, I generally review my routines folder probably once a month, maybe once every 3 months, depends on how regular those routines are. The folders that I'm particularly interested in when I'm doing my week review is my tickler file, because I want to make sure if any of these are still relevant. So if you look at this one up here, Agile Bits have introduced a new 1Password subscription service. Now you get 6 months free if you sign up before the 1st of September. So I think it's 1st of September. So I've actually gone and signed up today on that one, and now I can actually tick that off. And I've set up my devices to do that. Now, this is one of the reasons why I go through my folders. Now, the routine folder I don't need to do. My work folder, what I would do is I'd open it up and I would have a look in, see what I need to do, and go through each project as and when individually, because that way I can see individual projects and I can decide whether I want to work on them next week or not, and I can add a date or anything like that. And then I would go through my home folder, my areas of focus, my checklist, and sometimes I do go through it someday maybe, but someday maybe is one of those things that I generally check monthly, sometimes again maybe every 3 months. However, for those of you who want to do this by filter, there are many ways you can do this. And the way I would look at it is, when you're doing a weekly review, the idea is that you collect everything and then you process from there. Now, GTD Book suggests the reason why we use project holders like I have here is so that we can actually do the review. What you should be doing is running off your labels on a daily basis. So labels is where you would normally be working from on a daily basis, but the review would be done in your projects area. Now you can create filters, of course, for this, and I created one here. Now if I open up this filter, I'll show you what I've done. Basically, the query is P work, P home, P checklist. So all the projects that I want to actually check are in here. The one that I didn't put in, which is inbox, which I should have done. So P double dot and then inbox. You need to get the spelling right for these. So I can save that. So I've got no tasks in my inbox because I've already processed that for today. My P work is here, so I can go through the outstanding tasks in my work. And this bear in mind that with my work projects, I've got things lined up like this. Now, if I wanted to look at individual projects, then I could actually put P business creativity or P Cell Gene Lecture 2. But I've decided in this, for the purpose of this example, put them the main parent project. So P work, and I can go through these one by one and check them off as a individual thing. Now I've noticed here, as I've set this up, I've put checklist as one word. There is no such project as checklist. So if I go back into my filters, I can change that because I need to put a space into the checklist. So let's go in there, put a space and then save, and now you'll get all my checklists come up on here. And what it's not doing is it's not filtering out the projects. Now, individual child projects, if you want to see them individually, then you would need to add in the project into the filter itself. But that is the way to do it. According to GTD, is you review all your projects, and that is one way that I would do that. But as I say, I don't really need to have a weekly review filter, simply because it's easier for me to actually just go through my projects one by one as I'm doing my review. So if I go into my checklist, for those of you who remember, I've actually created my weekly review checklist here. One other thing I should have asked the question: what's the next action on all projects, including someday maybe? So then I would go through all my projects and do it something like this. Some of these I have a date because they're not actually part of my weekly review, like review operation style purchase list. That's for my autumn winter clothing purchases this year. I have a review for a plan which I would do usually on a weekend at the beginning of a month, and so I have all my reviews in here, but the main ones are the ones that are linked for today, because I haven't done my review today, and these are all in here. So I don't necessarily need a filter for this, but for those of you, because I know it's been asked, that's one way of doing it, but there are many ways of setting up a filtered list and doing it this way. But entirely up to you how you do it, but it is possible to bring out all the projects that you want to review on your weekly review by just having a look. I'm going to put a link to this particular filter code, but remember, it really does depend on how you have set up your projects. But remember, GTD is about review. When you do your weekly review in GTD, it's about reviewing the projects themselves. You don't need to review your labels, and you go through the projects and make sure that each task, each project is current and has a next action. Okay, hopefully that answers the question. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below, and I will try and do an episode on that for you in the near future. So now it just remains for me to wish you all a very, very productive week, and I'll see you in the next episode.